All right, kicking this off all the way down from Acumal, Mexico.
Originally, I have heard you say that this is your favorite place on earth. Please explain.
So, Acumal Bay is a magical, magical place. It looks like this. And basically, this is the land, this is the water, and across here is a reef. So the waves from the Caribbean Sea break on the reef. And all this is about a 400-acre coral reserve with every fish you ever saw in Finding Nemo, 80 giant turtles. We saw a nurse shark yesterday. And I come here a month a year. I train the staff at this place on personal development, personal growth, prosperity, all those things. And uh, my wife, Kathy, comes down here and she just goes, ah. And I wish I could bottle this and take it back to America where she gets back into
There
being
you go.
having a PhD and stressing out. But down here, it's like the most calmest. The sea is out there right now. I'm looking at the sea. It's blowing the palm trees. The frigate birds are flying overhead. It's kind of
Wow.
ridiculous. And because of modern technology, the internet is as fast as at my house in Florida, if not faster. But the bartenders make much better margaritas than I do. So,
Well, there's that. Okay, so let me welcome some people and then let's recap for them where you are. So, hello, Annalisa, Brenda, Bridget, my good buddy, Bruce, David, Dorina. Hope you're well, Dorina. Jim, nice to see you. Scott, hey, buddy, how are you? And others are coming in as well. So, originally, please recap again where you are exactly and the fact that this is your most precious place on earth.
yeah, I'm in Acumal, Mexico. Acumal, Mexico is um, just south of Playa del Carmen, north of Tulum. So Cancun, Playa, Tulum, in the middle here. Acumal means land of the turtles. And this is one of the great turtle hatching places in the world. So we have lots and lots of turtle nests all down the beach. They're very protected. They're super ferocious about protecting the turtles, which is cool. But you can go out and swim with the turtles. So we go out and swim with the turtles. Yesterday we saw a little baby, only about this big, 2 years old.
Oh,
Super cool. And yeah, it's our sanctuary. I'm very, very blessed to train the staff here. So I come down here twice a year, and it's amazing. And you wonder why I don't live here. Swear.
that's true. Now, folks, lest you think that Ridgely is actually relaxing, he made the mistake of saying, "Hey, team, I'll be working just down there." So, of course, a major crisis happens, and Ridgely is actually putting in more hours while on vacation down there than when he's back in his
I
office.
know my family's
So,
getting a little sick of me. They're like, so are you really gonna have to work again? Yep. You gotta work again? Yep. But I'll be back. And I'm very happy to be here at Mind Types After Dark. I just
yeah.
left them all at, so picture this. I left them all at a table 25 feet from the Caribbean Sea on a balcony overlooking the waves and the water coming in and the breeze and whatever, sitting there drinking margaritas and whatever and eating dinner. And I was like, okay, I'll see you guys in about an hour. I'm sure you won't have moved at all because they will
Well,
not
there
have
you
moved
go.
at all. And I'm coming up to hang out with my friends online.
Well, there you go. But actually, there is a crisis developing, and it affects all of you as well. So I'm actually going to um, turn the normal mind types after dark upside down. Normally, we start off by talking about the mind types, and then we talk about what's happening. This is so important that we need to talk about what's happening and how the mind types approach can help what's happening. All right. So originally, I know your family is all like, oh, blah, 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 whatever, but you and I are here to save the world, and this is actually worldwide impact. Okay. And so I alluded to it, folks, in the email that I sent, and there is something going on with Google. It's probably happening to your websites right now, but you don't know about it. But don't feel bad that you don't know about it because nobody knows about it. except for the people that pay attention to like our ridiculous degree. Okay. And so what's basically happening, and I'll originally put in the flavor, but let me give you folks as if you have not enough things to worry about in life. Okay. If your website traffic has been important to you, and let me be frank and say that a lot of our community originally are still building their businesses. So they don't rely on the traffic of a mature website. But we also do have many players that actually have robust businesses, and they will have experienced a drop off in the traffic that Google has been sending. And we're here to kind of explain why and what's going on. And more importantly, for everybody on this call, what you can do in terms of structuring your approach to your website going forward to mitigate what's happening, right?
Well,
Because
and
this
let's
is one of
also,
these foundational shifts.
yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one, and the ramifications are happening across the board, which is why I'm working a lot in the room looking at the Caribbean Sea. So, and by the way, if you think I'm kidding, I just gotta like, I just gotta like probably like show everybody. I'm just gonna walk over there for a second while we're talking
That'd be great.
to show everybody because this is no joke. I've been in this room most of the time for the last 3 days because of what's happening that you need to know about. So I have a
Originally, we saw that you would dress only from the top, from the waist up. You're wearing a shirt on the top, but we saw your swim trunks.
Yeah, there
Oh,
you
look
go.
at that beautiful view.
That is where I'm hanging out in a penthouse suite. And yes, I have shorts on, but they're red and white, like whatever. And
Only because
yes,
it's dinner time.
I'm in a penthouse suite that I'm not taking advantage of at all because I'm working because we have a crisis. So it's all good. I love everybody, and we're going to talk about this crisis and what you can do to not only. Now, this is a cool part. If you think of in the Chinese character for crisis is the same character for opportunity. That means that those people who understand what's going on and take action based on what's going on can put yourselves in a better position than you were ever in before the crisis happened. And the crisis only
Exactly.
happened 10 days ago, so we're in good shape.
Yes, exactly. And as a matter of fact, don't feel bad if you've been kind of slacking on building out your website because this crisis is an opportunity where think about the people that you're competing with. Odds are that the people that have nicer websites than you, that have more Google traffic than you, odds are that they've been hurt substantially by what we're about to reveal, and that they're going to be slower in responding. They're going to need to figure it all out. Whereas people that are actually have, you know, a clue as to what's going on, originally, this is a chance for everybody to leapfrog the old guard. Like
Correct.
seriously, right? Okay,
Correct.
so let me share my screen. And again, over the last couple of days, Ridgely and I have been explaining this to a lot of our customers, and I've been relying on Ridgely as my translator because this thing is so exciting, and I've been like so immersed on the geekiness of it that I've been relying on Ridgely as my translator.
Yeah,
So Ridgely,
let me explain what that means. We
okay,
get on the phone with a client. And I'm like, Hubert, and I'm sending him private text messages. Shut up. Let them talk. Let them ask questions. He is geeking out so hard because what we have done and what we teach you to do is working, is proven. And Google just came down with a mandate so ferocious
yes,
that literally 30 to 40% of people's websites have basically disappeared from the search engines in the last 15 days. And we're going to
yes,
explain why that happened and why it doesn't have to happen to you. It has not happened to any of the clients that we built the websites for, but it has happened to a lot of the clients that we didn't build the websites, but that we do marketing for that are now calling us going, or actually they're not.
exactly,
Calling them saying, you're screwed and you need help. And
yes,
literally, it's a crazy situation. So I'll let you, do your best, and then I'll interpret what you're about to say.
yes. Thank you. I appreciate
Explaining
that.
what happens is not so
Yes,
easy.
no, but Ridgely is right. However, I do want to express this. The remedy is not easy. It's hard. And the hard is what we should have been doing all along, right? Generally speaking, when it comes to marketing, there's easy and there's hard. If you take the easy route, there might be short-term gains, but there comes a time where the hard means that you're ahead of the rest of the crowd, right? Originally, and I have a rule of thumb. If there's task A and there's task B, and task A is hard and task B is easy, and everybody else in the marketplace is doing the easy route, we actually seek out the hard things because when that hammer comes down, all the easy ones fall by the wayside originally.
Yeah, and it happened really big time. So let's jump in. Let's not
Yes,
like make this in. Let's just jump into what just happened between May
yes,
26th and June 1st, because it's
exactly.
and the numbers are very scary for a lot of people.
Yes. Now, let me explain that if you have your own website, you must set up what's called the Google Search Console. Okay. The Google Search Console is super important. Many business owners that have a website actually have not set up Google Search Console. Okay. And you must do it. It's what in the old days was called Webmaster Tools. And basically, it gives you insight. You just have to prove to Google that you have a website. And originally, is it okay? I'm just going to use La Costa as an example for this. Okay. So let's just actually use some real data. So, folks, what happens is with Google Search Console, you set it up and it requires some changes to DNS and some technical things. We're happy to help walk you through it so that it's set up. But basically, you partner with Google. It's free. There's no cost to this. But Google, you install some tracking code on your website, and Google looks at your website and gives you all of this information that's going on. Okay, it tells you how many pages are indexed, and it tells you the traffic, and it tells you, how you're doing, and there's a wealth of information. Okay, so let's look at this chart. Originally, do you want to give them a little background as to how we even started looking, right? We had a client that started experiencing some pain. Do you want to describe that?
Yeah, so we have a call, and depending on your business, you have different rhythms. But we have a call every Monday. Every Monday afternoon, we review what's going on with our clients, and we have a philosophy that is we care more about the client's results than sometimes the client does, and that's why we have great clients. And if a client is a pain in the ass, I swear I'll do anything I can to fire them. It's like, wait, you don't get to be a doofus if you're my client because we care more about your stuff than you do. It's not your job. Your job as a dentist is to take care of teeth. My job is to take care of you getting enough people to take care of teeth. So when we see something happen where a lot of the things that we track, the rankings, the visibility or whatever is all negative,
The
we're
number
like,
of telephone calls to the office or the number of direction requests that Google gets.
whatever is down, we're like, whoa, 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 there's a problem. What just happened here? And not only do we want to figure out what the problem is, we want to communicate to the client there's a problem and we are on it, right? So that they know that unlike other big, huge shops, when you work with a boutique VIP firm that we are, we only have we will never be a big thousand practice firm. We don't want to. We want to be the boutique, more expensive, more high end, but we take care of you, whatever. We're going to tell you when there's a problem. So
Yes,
literally a week ago, we woke up in our Monday morning meeting. No, it wasn't even a week ago. It was 4 days ago, right? Hubert, 4 days ago is when this whole thing started
exactly. Yes.
going crazy. 4 days ago
Yes.
on Monday,
This Monday meeting.
we're like, this is insane. What the hell is happening? Pages are gone, things are down, numbers are wrong all over the place. And because there's possible fluctuations on a day-to-day basis, some of our team members are like, well, maybe this, maybe that. No, 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 no. Let's dig a little deeper. Something just happened. This is
Yes.
not right. And so that's where it started. And what we're going to share with you, I swear,
Yes.
most people are not even clued in that this has even happened
Yes.
yet, because when Google makes a change, when they shift an algorithm, they don't tell anybody ahead of time.
Do not.
People
They
would
do not.
game the system. They just make a change and they announce the thing 60, 90 days later with some goofball name like Panda or Dolphin or Bruce or
Yes,
whatever. I mean, they come up with it. Hey, we should have an algorithm change called Panda or Bruce or Dolphin or whatever, right? But if you
exactly.
find out about it fast enough, you can shift it and take advantage of it for your clients and for yourself. And that's why this topic today is super important because it just
Yes.
happened. We're going to show you one example, but I'm telling you what you're about to see happened to 30 to 40% of all pages
Yes.
in service industries across Google in the entire internet. Millions
Yes.
and millions and millions of pages. Go ahead, Hubie.
Yes, so this is major. And by the way, as a business owner, you will notice, right? We had a meeting today or yesterday with one of our clients. The admin, actually, the practice manager, the office manager, said to us, "Hey, I was going to call and say, I'm looking at my report and I see that the numbers are down. Less people are calling, less people are clicking, less people are, asking for directions." So you, as a business owner, you will feel something when that spidey sense goes off. Dig into the data and take a look. So let me go back now to our screen share and let me show you exactly what happened. Alrighty. So I'm going to blow this nice and big. Okay, here we go. All right. So let's look at this. So I'm going to look over here, like, everything here, May 12th, May 13th, la di da, nothing changing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now look at this date right here. I'm about to advance the date, but if you look at my screen, you'll see that Sunday, May 25th, everything was fine. Of course, they save all the changes for Monday morning. Why? Because literally, people roll into Google, say, "Okay, folks, let's do what we said we were going to do last week," and turn the switch, right? So, in this particular case, we have a couple of stats to look at. We have pages that are indexed. The 417 pages means that those pages are inside of Google, okay? Meaning that there's a chance that they're found. Now,
Well, let me
the
explain that
number of
real quick.
pages,
Hold on. Oh,
yes.
Hubert, you got to take pauses because we got to break this down and explain this.
Okay.
An index page means that it's showing up through the entire Google network. In other words, it's something that Google will recommend. It will show up, it will have an influence on how much visibility you have. It's a very big deal. Pages that
Yes,
are not indexed are basically invisible. So if you're depending on organic traffic at all to come to the website, you want as many pages indexed as possible to give you a better chance to show up before your competitor.
correct. And now, those of you that look at this stat and say, guys, there's already an issue because you have more pages that are not indexed than indexed. Yes, that is an issue. This was before originally and Hubert got involved. And unfortunately, when you throw stuff against the wall to see what sticks and what doesn't, the green line index is what sticks, and the gray line, not index, is what doesn't. Right? So meaning even at the best of times here, they had more, and I'm sorry, Richly, I'm just being explicit in case the client shows up. The way they've done it in the past is they threw stuff up, and more of the stuff was worthless than what was worth something, right? That's just the bottom line. And
And by the way, let's just clarify that for a second,
yes,
okay? Most of the time, you're going to see not indexed 100, indexed 500. In
correct.
this particular case, they had a lot of junk up there already before we took over, which we're in the process of doing right now. But
Correct.
watch what happened on this
Yes.
one day. It got a lot worse.
Yes, and by the way, the reason why typically businesses get into this situation is because they get sold by companies that then hire outsourcers or whatever to kind of create you content. And the content, half of it sticks and half of it doesn't, which is unfortunate. But here we go. We're going through the timeline. Here we're on Monday, the 26th, right? And look what happens the next day, Tuesday. Okay. So the number of pages not indexed was 498. The next day, boom, 558. A couple of more days goes by. Google says, "Oh, well, that worked. Let's do it again." So they crank the screws even tighter. And look, 607. Now suddenly From here, you go from 498 to 607. That's 200 something pages that got de-indexed, taken out of the Google search engine in 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Which
And
means that, and I just want to stop and say, that means that you had 200 something pages that suddenly had no visibility. Therefore, the traffic that you were getting from those pages are overnight gone.
right. So across the board and obviously we study the dental industry, but it applies to all the service industries because Google did this across the board. If a website was built by some big, huge firm that replicates, template, thin content, rinse, repeat, using teams from third world countries. And I have no issue against the idea of that as long as you really produce value content. It means that your page has just disappeared. And in our industry of dentistry, we're estimating that between 20 and 40%, depending on a site, literally just disappeared from visibility online, meaning that all those pages that could have produced a lead that turned into business are gone.
Yes.
Gone. Now, Hubert, we got to speed up this process or we're going to be just
Yes.
spending too much time talking about the negative. Why did this
Okay.
happen? What went wrong? And what does everybody on our mastermind need to understand and do for themselves so it doesn't happen to you and so that you might have a chance to leapfrog your competition?
Yes. So here's the bottom line, and I'm going to share in a second, but I just want to tell you the bottom line. We did all kinds of research across the internet, and we rapidly discovered that this was happening to what Google considers low value content or duplicate content. Okay, Ridgely, do you want to explain the concept of duplicate content because it's super important?
Yeah, so Google, if you think about the machine of Google, the concept is that Google is your partner. If you serve up good content to the viewers, Google rewards you and pushes you up in the rankings. If you serve up goofy content, thin content, irrelevant content, or whatever, just to put something out there, quote unquote, Google will penalize you because you're not doing a good job for the viewers. And the way that they look at that is how much time is somebody spending on your site because they're reading something valuable, or are they clicking away because it's worthless? Are they watching a well-produced video, or are they clicking away because it's worthless? And if your page is thin and your content is worthless, they're going to penalize you for that. They're going to diminish your rankings. And once in a while, they're going to do an algo change like they just did 2 weeks ago. And they're going to wipe you off the face of the map like you never even existed in the Google machine. And oh, by the way, Google is still the 800-pound gorilla. AI is making things catch up a little bit here and there. But when you look at a site and you see 20, 30% of their pages de-indexed in a 10-day period, that's insane. And if you think
Yes.
how much money that is worth to the business owner, this is super dangerous. So here we got to speed
Yes.
up the
So
process.
yes. So in the interest of speeding it up, let me preview the punchline, and then we'll work backwards. So originally, this is Mind Types After the Dark. Mind Types is all about limbic content. Okay, limbic messaging. I asked ChatGPT, does limbic content help? Yes, limbic content absolutely helps, especially now. Let me explain why. Because it supports SEO performance and real-world engagement signals. First off, what is limbic content? That's that whole thing. We'll talk about that in a second. In practical terms, it means that the content feels human, empathetic, and purposeful, right? Not robotic, keyword stuffed, or generic. Okay. Why does it help with SEO and this particular issue? It keeps users on the page. Originally, what's a visitor's favorite topic?
Themselves,
Themselves. It keeps
100%.
100%. It keeps users engaged. It makes them scroll. here's a new vocabulary word, reduces pogo sticking. Pogo sticking is when you find a result on Google, you click it, you look, and it's just like, oh crap, nothing about you, and you bounce back, right? We call it, bouncing back. These days, it's called pogo sticking. The second you have limbic content on there, we believe in such and such, you deserve in such and such. They're like, oh, let me check that out. And I'm going to scroll. It reduces pogo sticking, right? Using limbic messaging creates pages that generate human response and you get an algorithmic reward. Look, it reduces de-indexing risk by improving perceived quality. Now, originally, you and I haven't talked about this before. I've been doing a lot of research. Give me your like real-time reaction to like how limbic messaging actually addresses these issues.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Number one, number one in everybody's book is themselves. So if you speak to them in a language that is their language, they're going to raise their hand in your favor way, way more. Don't move that. Leave that right there.
Okay.
Way more than if you don't. So what is a limbic message? A limbic message is an invitation into a thought, like you deserve service excellence because your success matters. We believe in long-term relationships. And you go, yeah, you're right. I do deserve service excellence. Yeah, yeah, quality matters. Yeah, whatever. It makes somebody go like this and nod their head, yes. It makes it so that there's a real empathy. That's right. I do deserve service excellence. We believe in long-term relationships. Yes, I believe in long-term relationships. See that limbic content and signals a real voice, real empathy, real intent to help, which
Yes.
means that somebody feels something different. We'll answer, by the way, the questions in the chat in just a little while.
Yes.
If you don't, that concept of it feels cold, formulaic, or auto-generated, that is what Google just hammered into oblivion.
Exactly. Yes. And I have to tell you, and Ridgely and I know this, nobody else is doing it. Ridgely, this community of ours doing limbic messaging, we're bulletproof because I have to tell you, nobody else out there is doing this.
Whoa, 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 wait. Let's make sure we clarify that. We are bulletproof in that what we're doing is creating real voice, real empathy, real intent to help.
Yes.
If and only if we also add the quality content so that it's
Yes.
not thin, it's not user satisfying. In other words, it's a formula that says, hey, boom, let's create a limbic messaging. Let's create a relationship with that client, with that prospect first. Then let's give them the data that they need so they perceive real value. And Google perceives both the empathetic side and the value. Then you win no matter what. And Bruce, we'll get to your question in just a second.
Yes. And let me just make one more point, and then I want to address Doreena's question as well. So one of the big debates going on right now with this algorithmic change is people are asking, am I getting de-indexed because I used AI to generate the data? Okay, that's an open question. It's not a question that if you use AI, but use it to help you generate limbic messaging, that AI and the search engines believe that because it's emotionally based, you're not going to be put in those AI generated like decision points, right? So even if AI may start getting like dinged, if you use AI to write in an emotionally emotive way, it's gonna protect you. Originally, that's a little
Yeah. Well, let me add to that. Let me add to that.
yes,
You still cannot rely on AI if you want to rank in Google.
yes,
AI eliminates the blank page syndrome, but it does not eliminate, and it will not eliminate the
yes,
human factor. You have to participate in that. So let me give you a scenario as to where this is not working and what we are seeing already from researching some of our clients that are with some of the really big marketing agencies.
Hmm.
Imagine you got a big marketing agency. You have a ton of clients. You're trying to figure out how the hell do we generate content for these people? You go, well, let's use AI. Will you generate this content? We'll make sure this is a really good thing, and then we're going to blow it out across 800 websites. No, it's the same content generated by AI that Google recognizes and says, what the hell is this? Bam, slammed. So
Yes.
where the big opportunity exists today, if you do this right, if you create valuable content, you can use AI to help you create the content, but you got to make it personal. You got to make it about the client. You got to make it about the person. You got to make it emotive. You have to do those things, or Google is going to penalize you. And I'm telling you right now, I would hate to be the chief marketing officer for one of these big agencies where right now they're going, what the hell just happened to us?
And
When
what do we do?
entire portfolio of clients just got whacked by 30% de-indexed pages. Like what? And then what the hell do we do about it? So Hubert, we got to keep moving on, man. We got to move
Yes,
on.
we will. Okay, so now here's a key concept here. Doreen is asking, geez, what if you have a little 5-page site or something? Okay, so originally, this is even more important for a small 5-page. If one page gets de-indexed, that's a 20% decrease. If 2 pages, then now we're at 40%. Particularly if it's a small site, you're at super risk at this. Okay. Conversely, let me share this. Because Darina and others, because you have a small site, okay, you have the advantage to take it, you have the ability to take advantage of the solution. Okay, so I went to ChatGPT and I asked, listen, tell me why my high quality page got de-indexed as part of this. Okay, because we noticed that some pages that are not thin content also got de-indexed. Why? Because Google actually now has recalibrated its quality thresholds, but they're applying it to the entire website, right? So it's site wide. Actually, this is important. It's not just these little pages. It's if your website has a ton of these little pages, even the good pages get whacked, right? And so what's happening is this. If your content is duplicated with other pages, even on your own site, it may be deprioritized as duplicative, right? And so there's all kinds of things that you need to make sure to put in technically, right? But you need to be unique, you need to have topical authority, and you need to satisfy the user intent. I'm going to ask Ridgely to give the 30-second story of how a client today complained, but complained in a good way. What happened, Ridgely? And you quoted topical authority as the reason.
So when you do what we're talking about correctly, when you do this right, when every blog post you put out is quality content and it has video and it's relevant to the user, your social media is important, all those things, um, uh, what's going to happen is that you're going to become an authority in your space. So we had a client today, one of our dentists, ping me personally saying, hey, people are calling and complaining with us that because they found some way that they think through searching that we do same day implants and same day dentures, which we don't do. What's going on? What mistake have you guys made? And here's the thing. We had not made any mistake. It's just that because we had so much positive content across the internet for this client, they had what's called topical authority. In other words, any term relevant to dentistry, they were going to show up first. In fact, here's the funny thing. They were showing up number 2 in their marketplace for Invisalign. They don't even offer Invisalign at all. But when somebody typed Invisalign in their market, they were showing up in the number 2 spot in the search engines because of their topical authority. So it's one of these things where if there's one huge lesson to take away from this, it's that the one fundamental thing that Google has had in place for years now is content is still king.
Hmm.
You've got to produce valuable content for the users if you want to be ranked near the top. And today, it's even more important than ever. And what just happened is super crazy. They just whacked so many pages that were thin on content. And now those practices, those businesses are suffering in a huge way.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of the topical authority that Richard is talking about, here's the converse of that. Topical dilution. Okay. Google wants tight topical clusters. If they're a dentist, you got to be talking about dentistry. You cannot, and this was popular just a few years ago, you can't start talking about, oh, I was at the fair and I really love funnel cakes and everything else. One-off content that doesn't connect with other strong pages gets ignored. Okay. You have to, on your business website, a personal blog is something different. If you're talking about your business, keep on topic, tight topical clusters. Okay. Now, here's the other thing, Dorina. You talked about your site being small. That's actually an advantage. Too many pages competing internally. I actually went and asked this. Are you saying that my site could be too big and sprawling? Recently, and I helped a client that had over 100 blog posts. Like over the last 10 years, they've created like a 400 page site. Yes, your site can be too big and sprawling. You have too many of your own pages competing for the same keywords. Look at that. Your site can be too big if it's thinly spread. Okay, if you have lots of similar low authority, redundant pages, and you're just writing because it's you're cranking away and boom, 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 boom. No. Over time, it's cannibalizing each other because they have the same H1s, same intros, same keywords. What's the value of it? Right? It's just not there. Now, originally, we're gonna get political for a second. You and I latched onto this concept immediately because we knew we're always thinking from a business perspective. Why do you think, folks, that not originally, why do you think that Google decided to deprioritize de-indexing all of these low value pages? And I'll give you a hint. When Google says you're out of our index, they never visit you again. Okay? Why does Google at a whack cut billions and billions of pages? Richard, do you want to explain?
Yeah, sure.
Now,
So
folks, this is like the bottom line. And some people are going to get upset that this is what like capitalism is about. But this is what capitalism is about.
yeah. So many of you may have heard of the drain on energy that cryptocurrency is taking, right? That all these crypto farms and all these things that are out there, and it's a real problem. Why is that? Because the computing power that is needed to to fund basically that energy is so huge that it is insufficient. And it is the same thing with AI. There is not enough computing power to fund this new machine called AI, which is potentially the biggest game changer that has hit the world in the Homo sapiens incarnation as we are today. Bigger than the internet. It is super crazy. So Google says, I can't waste a bunch of time on stupid ass thin pages that are duplicative. I don't want my bots crawling these dumbass pages anymore. I'm de-indexing them so that I can take that computing power and put it toward AI, the next biggest thing. It is a business decision. Now, you can argue with us. You could say this is speculative. Ridgely, Hubert, how do you guys know that? Well, the truth is, we're not inside Google. We're not making those decisions. But if you look at what's happening with Elon Musk and what he's doing, and you look at what happened with Sam Altman and what he's doing, and you look at what Google is doing, and you look at Gemini, and you look at all these things, they're all competing in a massive space. Even obviously some of the Chinese properties, the Indian properties, They need that computing power to compete with each other to get the next version of AI up there. They don't want their computing power taking a look at shitty websites. So they're
That's
just going to say,
exactly it.
screw you. You created this bad website. It's on you. You shouldn't have done it in the first place. Whack. We're getting rid of you.
Exactly. Yes, they have other things, uh, better things to do. So I actually went and asked, check this out, Richly. I asked ChatGPT, do you think a valid reason why they're so concerned with crawl budget is that it wants to conserve compute for AI and other high value projects? Yes. Increasingly accurate hypothesis, right? So the concept of a crawl budget is this. Google's computing power that's spent looking at your website is the same computing power that they could be creating the next incredible AI thing. Compute is compute. Okay, that's just a slang term. That's just the raw computing power. Okay, now we're talking about allocation at a planetary scale. Google is saying, you're a knucklehead. You created 1,000 pages that all say the same thing. I'm cutting you out. I'm telling you now, and I'm never going to visit you again until you're worth visiting because I have better things to do with my compute power, right? So in the AI era, crawl budget is more important than ever. Check this out. Google crawls billions of URLs daily, right? Which means that low value pages is an enormous compute waste. Okay. So now look at this. They don't want anymore to index everything. They're going to index things now that are worth it. Okay. If your site creates noise, Google may stop listening. That's just a hard fact right now. Okay. If you're not worth it, Google's not going to look at you. Right. So check this out. Reducing crawl waste means focusing on higher margin, higher value activities, right? So Google wants you to prune more. If a site has index bloat, near duplicate content, poor engagement, what it gets less crawl intention. Here's the concept originally, resource triage, right? So there's all kinds of evidence from Google that that's the way it is, right? So now look at this. You have to keep yourself clean. Just to give you an inside baseball kind of a thing, one of the hard conversations that Ridgely and I are going to have with our clients is, Mr. Client, you were so happy about your 400-page website. We're going to take your 400-page website, we're going to work on it, and we're going to make it a 40-page website. Google is going to love 100% of the 40 pages instead of 10% of the 400 pages. Now, originally, that's a hard conversation to have, but everybody has to have that.
Yeah, and people are listening, guys. So I literally we figured this out on Monday. By tomorrow, I expect that we will have 3 brand new high ticket clients because of explaining this concept and how they just got killed and how we can fix this for you, but we need complete command because you can't do what you've been doing up until now. You can't let this outsourced operation in some place, wherever it is, it could be even in the US, that's lazy, that's using AI to try to do the job that they should be doing for you, do it, and then expect you're going to get a different result. You're not. So,
You're
Hubert,
not.
we're running
Yes.
out of time here. I
Yes.
need you to tell the people how they fix this for
Yes.
themselves,
I
for
will.
the
So
clients.
yes. So
Everybody
let
else.
me give you the fix right now, but let me also put the emphasis on real world impact. Okay. So every time Google comes and looks at your page, it takes a couple of seconds, right? And a few megabytes. Okay. Do you know that if Google goes and de-indexes 5 billion URLs, right, which is a
500
conservative
billion.
estimate of what just happened, conservative.
500 billion URLs, bro. 500 billion, not
I'm sorry, 500 billion URLs. Now look at this. The power that they saved just from what happened on that date is equivalent to powering 2,500 homes for a year. So we're talking about real world impact. Okay, this is like no joke. Okay, so the everybody wants to be green. This is no joke. It's gonna sound silly. You can save the world originally by getting rid of the crap that's on your freaking website.
But
And
oh, hold on. And people can use that terminology of we want to be green to make more money. And that's what drives Silicon Valley and these giant corporations like Google. They're interested in the bottom line. And if they can whack the hell out of what you have because it's crappy in order to reduce their computing costs so they have more ability to compute somewhere else, they're going to do that. And that's what they just did. Hubert, I
yes.
swear to God, if you don't tell people what they need to do,
Okay.
I'm
All
going to
right.
personally kill you. Stop
Okay.
geeking out.
Okay. Here is what you have to do. We are now, folks, in the world of AI first SEO. Look at this term, AI first SEO. Okay. This is a report that I'm creating for our dentists, but it applies to everybody. Okay. Now, here's the old way. Volume, volume, volume. Publish your head off. Okay. Wrong. Publish now fewer, deeper, more comprehensive searches, pages that fully satisfy search intent. What you want indexed is only what you earn through engagement or conversions, valuable intent rich pages. Okay. That means you got to concentrate now and get serious about what keywords you want to rank for, provide content specifically for that, and tell Google, listen, I'm going to no index these pages. This
Stop,
is a,
stop, stop, stop,
yes,
stop.
yes, yes.
Okay. What does no index mean? No index means to everybody that you can actually tell Google, hey, this page that's a piece of garbage, take it out of your machine. And that's called no indexing. So you
And
can,
you're telling them proactively.
right. So if you do that proactively, you are purposely pruning your own poorly designed web pages so
Yes.
that Google doesn't penalize you for it. So it's
Yes,
really
and you're partnering with Google. You're saying, "Hey, Google, I get what you're doing. Don't bother visiting these pages because the alternative is that eventually they're gonna get to your pages and they'll say, "Oh my God, these are crap," and they didn't even tell me to not visit. I'm never going to this site again.
exactly. So and keep going, but I just want to make sure everybody
Yes.
understood what de-indexing means because de-indexing is something that you can
Yeah.
proactively
No
do.
indexing. Just to correct you,
All right,
not
no indexing.
de-indexing. No
Yeah.
indexing.
And
Right?
Bridget just said, "Hey, I just did that to my development site. Good
Awesome.
idea, Bridget. Very
Yes.
important. No indexing. Get them out. If there's a crappy page, no index it so that they don't look
Yes.
at it."
Exactly. Okay. Now, crawl budget. You have to Originally, always saying partner with Google. Respect that Google wants not to visit like pages that aren't worth it. So you're gonna have to consolidate your pages. You're gonna have to prune them, okay, and make it worth their while. Okay. So now you have to concentrate on the user experience. From day one, I've always been about that. You have to make it you have to get in the mind of your client and say, what do they want? You have to make it helpful. If it's not helpful to the client, don't put it on your page because they're going to bounce away.
And
They're going to
by the
spend,
way, and by the way, this is where limbic messaging
yes,
and client centric copy is so important. Focus on the UX that talks to your prospect, that talks to your client, that talks to the people you're dealing with, and make them have that good experience. If they've got a good experience, they're going to stick around. And even though it says here secondary concern, I'm going to say I actually think it's a huge concern.
I believe so
It's at
too.
least for
Yes,
everybody that's on this mastermind, you have a massive advantage because you know this and you know how to
yes,
do this if you've been with us for a while.
exactly. And so let me say this. Google wants your pages to be unique. They do not want duplicate content because you're wasting Google's time and therefore your time. What is the easiest way to make your content unique. It's to talk about what you offer and the value that you bring to the world. You are unique, and if you make your website content about how you provide your solution, you're by definition unique. That's all about the mind type and your limbic message. Originally tie it all together because that mind type and limbic messaging, by definition, makes them bulletproof for de-indexing.
Well, I think about all the people that are on this call, and you have, wizards on this call, and that I mean, it'd be almost insulting to name only a few, but I know who's on this call. You know who you are. You serve definitive marketplaces. And I'll just give a couple examples. Linda, unbelievable. All the stuff that you do using artistry to help people improve themselves. Scott, treating high executive women. Dorina, wealthy people that do things. Kurt, down in South Africa. Bruce, with your logical stuff. Bridget, with all the presentation materials that you create. Bill, and I got to stop. I'm not going to go any further, but you guys get the feeling. There's a lot of people who are very, very talented. If you tell your story and you tell it well, and you take the time to really give value to people, what you're going to do is you're going to be rewarded in a huge way. And Google is saying again, except that this time they did it with a freaking sledgehammer.
Yes.
If you don't give me good content, I am not going to rank you anymore. I'm going to wipe you off the face of our Google Earth, right? And if you need to be ranked to get traffic for your business, or you serve clients like, say, a Bridget does, or a Scott does, or Dorina does, or many of you, Bruce, etc., you need to pay attention to this. I have a call tomorrow morning with a DSO, which is a dental service organization. They handle a whole lot of dentists. They have a big portfolio. It's a 9-figure company, not 10. So it's not a $1 billion company, but it's a 9-figure company. And here's what I know. They don't know this is going on. They just don't. I guarantee it. And they're asking us to take over one of their practices. But out of integrity, I can't not talk about this. So tomorrow, when I talk to the guy who's the chief marketing officer of a company doing hundreds of millions of dollars taking care of dentists, I'm going to tell him, bro, you probably have a problem you don't even know about. Let's take a look at this. I don't know where that's going to take me, by the way. I really don't, because I don't like doing business with DSOs, big, huge corporations. I like doing businesses with individuals that we get to know and love and cherish. We find out about their families and their kids and their thing. We're a boutique shop, VIP, white glove. That's what we do. But there's no way that I get on a call and don't talk about how to help them get better at what they do. What do you think, by the way, is going to happen when I do that? It's going to happen at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're going to get the client that they're talking to us about, which is a prototype. But what do you think the fallout after that's going to be? Oh my God, man, these guys, I mean, whatever. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I just know that I need to be transparent about this and say, look, take a look at this. Because if they have this issue with their websites, guaranteed that the hundreds of millions of dollars that they're generating through their dental practices are getting whacked right now.
Yes.
Hubert, wrap this thing up, man. I mean,
Okay.
I think we just kind of like went, oh my God, people were like,
Yes.
what the hell just
Exactly. So
happened
so
here?
so here's the bottom line. So and Bruce was asking this. I'm sorry I can't walk you through step by step, but if you have a website and you do not have Google Search Console, search Google Search Console and figure out how to authenticate it so that you get Google Search Console so that it looks at how people are coming to you and your search traffic and all of that. So if you run your own website, make sure you can get Google Search Console. Second thing is, if after you get to Google Search Console, hope we can help you, You see that some of your pages get have been de-indexed. Think of it this way. It's actually a good thing. Google is being the big daddy, the big mama right now, and they're doing this for your own good. Because yes, they need to preserve their compute, but originally they're doing it in actually a pretty gracious way that's actually serves the people that are being hurt. Okay? If you're not willing to learn from this, you deserve to never recover.
Yeah. And the question, Scott came in with a question, and the question was, so for right now, for those of us who have small bespoke practices, should we not build a website? Instead, can I use LinkedIn for a hub of my links and publish articles? So the answer is yes, you can, but you can also build a website that is simple as long as it's depthy. If it's
Yes.
depthy and provides great value, you don't have to have a huge website anymore. Google's telling us, and this is great news. They're saying you don't need 400 pages like we
You
used to.
don't. Right.
You need quality content that serves the user. And Scott, I know you have a ton of that, brother. So you put out great content on your website. You don't need it's actually better for Dorina and Scott. You don't have to worry about tons and tons of content anymore. Just whatever you put out, make it
Yes.
great, make it valuable, make it important to the people that you serve. And then you're going to have a really great result from all of that. So,
Exactly. And the formula to making your pages unique is to explain why you do what you do and why people should care. Okay? The whole thing about your mind type, your limbic messaging, that makes you unique. And if you express that, boom. The overarching framework behind that, above that is explain what you do, who you do it for, where you do it, and how you do it. By definition, everybody on this call, originally, we're looking at these names. Everybody has unique content. All you have to do is put that unique content on there, and your 10, 20, 30-page site is going to outperform all of the big guys ahead of you that are have 400 pages that just suddenly lost 300 of those pages.
yep. All right. I want to see what you come up with now, Hubert Lee, at the end of this call. Or were you so geeked out that you even forgot to come up with a bad joke at the end?
I
Just
came up, no, 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 listen. As excited as I get, I always come up with a couple. So is it time,
uh,
or do you want to tell them when we're meeting next?
we are indeed meeting next at
Okay.
4 o'clock Eastern time next Thursday, the 19th. So that's 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. Priorities, David says. I love it.
I know priorities. Okay, so here, okay, folks, forget all of that Google stuff. Listen to me on this, originally, and put your thinking caps on, okay? Because this one like might take a minute. Okay, originally, why did the cake cross the road? Why did the cake cross the road?
Something about the icing. What?
Oh no, that's a good guess. It saw a fork up ahead. Oh my God. Okay, originally, thinking cap. Why are shopping centers boring? Especially for you. You hate shopping.
Why are
Why are
shopping
shopping
centers
centers
boring?
boring? Because if you've seen one, you've seen them all. Now that's pretty funny.
Something like that. Okay. All right, people. I love you guys. Happy Father's Day, Bruce. Exactly right to everybody. We appreciate you. Have a great week. Pay attention to your content. Do the right thing. This is just about doing the right thing. And I'm going to do the right thing and go back to my family that's still sitting by the sea having a drink. Hubert, I'm not calling you after this. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, that's cool. That's awesome. Now, folks, you too can save the world by pruning your dumbass pages off your website. Okay, like if we prune enough, like we're talking about worldwide planetary impact. I know it sounds hokey and everything else, but like all the bullshit that you guys are putting Google through with your dumbass pages, just take them off the site and just no
Just get rid of
indexing.
them and just make content great. And you make great content and you get great results. All right.
Exactly.
Love you all. See you later. Adios, peeps. Ciao for now. Ciao, Hubie.